And she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending. Nothing is real. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. Know you can get it. Looking exquisite, no competition. Stay on the pivot. Who be watching, they be plotting. She's so motherfucking independent. Mama be big, got on her grind. She had to get out her mama house. Daddy be tripping, now she be whipping. Ain't no more on granny couch. Fashion over, got that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the E-Spot with Camille. I'm your host, Camille Cower, and I have another wonderful guest from the Kaleidoscope Project. You are going to be in for a treat today. Today, I have Dennese Guadeloupe Rojas work with me. I said that without making any mistakes, I hope.
We're perfect.
Like my 3 years of Spanish finally paying off. Thanks. College and so on. Just kidding. They didn't teach you how to pronounce names anyway. But I'm so excited to have you. She is the CEO, founder of Interiors by Design, and you worked on the Kaleidoscope Project up in Massachusetts. So tell us first, how did you get started in the world of design?
Well, I got started in the world of design when I was very young, but it's really interesting because I reflect on things sometimes, and I realize that one of my friends who was part of the Kaleidoscope Project, she usually tells me I'm a unicorn because I was never forced by my parents to go do something that I can get paid to do.
Oh, that's two in a row. Okay, so did you go straight to art school, or
I did. I went straight to art school, and my parents were always very supportive of whatever my brother and myself wanted to do. My brother's in fashion, and I'm in interiors. So,
shout out to mom and dad. That's pretty impressive.
My parents were very straight laced. My mom was in accounting, and my dad was in construction on that side. So, my brother and I are both on the talented side. I try to stay in my lane on my side of interiors, and I let him do his fashion, but he tries to creep into my road many times along the way.
Well, I was wondering if you guys ever, because it's both a lot of fabrics and textures with either side. So I wonder if you guys ever did collaborate on anything together, but it sounds like a no. He tried.
No, but he came to help me with the kaleidoscope. He came up for a little stent of it to help us with little touches of things that I had to have done, little touches of paint that we needed to kind of work on. And I wanted him involved because it was done in the name of the room is called the Doreen Suite in honor of our mother, Doreen. I lost my mom last year towards the end of the year.
I'm so sorry.
So in doing the project, when they said you could name your room whatever you wanted, it was my opening door to do that for my mom, with my mom's name.
And to even do it with your brother. What a beautiful experience in that sense. Like both of you using your talents that she supported.
It was good.
Yeah. So what were some of the touches that scream Doreen or scream Rojas in that sense, or Interiors by Design?
Well, my mom also, my brother learned to sew through my mom. He was always behind her foot to foot when he was little. So I want to say from that perspective, it became a nice situation where it was really interesting in life to watch them play reverse roles with each other, where she would call him to ask him how to do something that he learned to do in school. So that was really nice from that perspective. But my mom was always, whatever I did as far as, and I watched her as a child doing a lot of home things, making draperies and, and all that sort of stuff. But it was never really, for me, I'm not a DIY interior designer. I'm not. I know what I like. I know how to pull it together, but I'm not pull the saw out and get some wood going. I'm not.
So you're saying that you're not a, what are they? Oh, now I'm blanking on the word. Contractor.
No. Yeah. No, I'm good at pointing.
So there is a place for me in design. Because I'm dyslexic and ADHD. So I was like, me and power tools, not a good idea. Or sewing machines, I may forget halfway through. And my mom has tried to teach me. So when you were talking about being under your brother being under your mom's thumb, I was like, oh, I wish. Like, she bought me a sewing machine a couple years back for Christmas. And first I was like, do you know me? And then secondly, I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna start making my own clothes and hemming things. And because I like, they started making jeans, I felt like way too short recently, and I'm not that tall, but now they're like ankle biters, and it used to be that they would make fun of me for wearing ankle biters at school. So it's like I have a complex about showing my ankles when I'm wearing jeans. So I was like thinking, it was way too hard, way too complicated. She was like talking about all these different kinds of stitches, and you got to do this and that, and lost me very quickly. And there was all these different numbers on the dial to so I love to know that you're not one of those. You're a
no, I am definitely not one of those. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things I can do, like I will do floral arrangements. Like for my room, I did the floral arrangements in my room myself, which were the orchids. And there's certain things that I can do that I like to do, but for the most part, don't give me. I mean, and I love hanging pictures and all that stuff, but the other stuff, no.
Well, at the same time, there's people who went to school for that, and that's their love and their passion.
I stay in my lane. I've learned that. I've learned to stay in my lane.
That's important too.
And I know how things should be and how they should be completed. So that's an important part for me.
And you went to school for it, so it's not like you didn't learn it, but you learned that it's not for you. And sometimes that's the best part of doing what you love, is finding out what you don't like about it, or what you can outsource. So tell us a little bit, how did you get involved with the Kaleidoscope Project? Like, how did you meet Amy or Patty?
Well, it's interesting because at first I got an email from them, I want to say probably maybe September or October of last year. And I saw that it was in the Berkshires, and I kind of, I don't know. I mean, this is my 8th show house that I've been a part of. So I know the rules of the game when it comes to doing a show house. And I didn't know if I was ready to do something out of state. And with COVID, I felt that might be a little bit of a push. And I had just changed I have a PR person, and Nina approached me about it. And when I did my research and I went backwards, I saw that this was the same project that I was, that reached out to me in the fall. So when I got the information as far as, the vendor support, and you don't have to go up there to do anything, and as far as the construction aspect of it, it made it that much easier for me to say yes to it, because I didn't have to travel there to go work on it all the time. Because I know in doing a show house locally, like I had the last one that I did in our area, it was very involved. As a matter of fact, I remember working on that project during Labor Day that year. And we worked that Sunday, that Monday, just to get everything done, because the room was relatively large. It was, I want to say the room was like 21 by 22. So it was a huge room, master suite.
Wow.
So, I mean, I love the challenge of taking on, I work really great under pressure. I'll just say that. I do.
Yeah.
It gets my fuel going, and everything kind of motivating me to accomplish what I set out to do. So, in getting the space, I shared that I wanted something that I can really bite my teeth into as far as on that challenge basis. And so, of course, I got the big space that I did the whole ensemble.
So tell us about Doreen, the room.
So I usually, the people that surround me here in my office, my team, my support, they know that I love doing things with a pop of something. So where I am in my space, I kept on working on what we can get, finding product, because that was going to be one of the hardest things, finding product for the space. And it was very fluid as far as what we had access to, what we can get, what we can't get, that sort of thing. So I continue to kind of live it, for lack of a better word, and putting pieces together, and creating something as far as with a pop of something. So I had all these, because we had, Patty created a color palette
Right.
for the different moods of the spaces. And I usually go on the soft side when I'm creating something, because I don't like things coming at you. And so when I started to work on it, I picked the neutrals, and I knew that I wanted a pop. So everybody kept on saying to me, well, what's your pop going to be? And I decided to go with the pop of purple. So that's where the purple chair came into play. And based on what I had access to as far as fabrics, what was available, there was a lot of behind the scenes, because you had to make sure you can get what you're working with in order to be able to create the vision of what you're envisioning in the space.
Yeah, and that was a big problem that was going on during the pandemic with a lot of furniture and
it's still going
people on
on.
furlough. Yeah, true.
It's
There's
still going on.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of things right now that aren't working at capacity. So I'm sure that it was a challenge as well. So
It was.
yeah.
My friends here that I brought, I should say that I recruited. That's a good word. That I recruited into the show house, which is Shauna and Iantha. It was very interesting, because in us putting it together, we kind of supported each other on whatever we were doing. So if we went somewhere, we found pieces of furniture. I knew Iantha was looking at one point for ottomans, and I went to a local place here, a model home store that resells furniture that has not been used. It wasn't a model. I remember calling her one morning and saying, look what I found. And she's like, where are you? I said, this is a secret.
Yeah.
And then finally I told her where it was. And she says, how long are you going to be there? I'll meet you there. So she came, and then we told Shauna about it. And then Shauna came, and she found things as well. But I was finding things that I needed to have reupholstered. So I identified the fabrics, and then I identified the pieces based on the size. And then I had things reupholstered. I ordered pieces that I had to have reupholstered. So that was kind of my hunt in finding my pieces for my space, to have them identified and have the fabrics and have things reupholstered so that the look gets created. And then what I did was I had everything go to my reupholsterer and have him do everything, which he did. And then we picked it up and brought it to the Berkshires.
Wow. So the store that you're talking about, The Secret, which I'm going to have to find out the name afterwards. So we don't give away all your secrets. But was that locally in Massachusetts, or all the way where
it was here in Maryland? It was here in Maryland. So
okay.
what we did was we have a few model home places in the area that do models. And when they're turning things over and they want to bring new things in, they sell the old stuff that they have, I want to say, for lack of a better, they have milked as far as in their homes, and then they sell them and utilize and just recycle whatever they're going to do financially with it.
Here I was thinking going to market was the best deal. So there's better one.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, market is usually the best deal. The thing about it is you don't always get, when you go to that kind of a situation, not everything is on the scale of furniture that you want to use in a space of that nature.
I got it.
So, and it's open to the public. So there's a lot of people. It's almost a fight for people getting in the door. So that's when Shauna went the first time she went, she called me up and she said, Denise, this is unbelievable. You know, people are fighting to get in here for furniture. They are. Oh, wow. Because, they think it's their best kept secret in the world. So, and I mean, the price points were good. The stuff was never really used. It was never sat on or anything. It was pretty much, it may have a nick here or there, but I pretty much needed furniture for seating aspects. So most of my furniture that I got, like I ordered my bed, which was brand new, and I paid to have it reupholstered. My sofa was brand new, and I paid to have it reupholstered. My two guest chairs, the two guest chairs were from the model, and I had them reupholstered. So those worked really nicely. And then any books or any odds and ends that I needed, I got it from the model place. So they had a nice level of scale, as far as things were concerned. So it really worked out to be nice for us. And, you know, we got some pictures and various things that we could use for the show house within that little secret. But there's two places close by that we can go to. The one place is only open on a Friday, and the other place is open all year round. But their price points are not as good as the one that's open on a Friday. So it worked out really nicely.
Wow, I'm gonna have to look to see if there's any here locally. That sounds like a great deal because I live very close to High Point.
It's a nice option. It's It's slightly used stuff, and I mean they buy from many vendors, so your picking is a wide range. And they have brand names. If you know your brands, I do know my brands, so you can get some pretty decent things there. So. But it's not where I'd like to go on a regular basis because I'm not trying to fight for furniture.
No, it sounds like the part that would keep me from going because, nothing's ever that serious for me where So like swap meets and stuff like that, like people would always tell me about, I'm like, I don't think I want to go through that much work to get stuff. I'll just wait until market, it's coming. So I'll just do that instead, fight there nicely, gently, and they give out free appetizers. So
very true.
People aren't hangry.
And I think it is too for the general public. They feel that they're getting a big bargain and a deal because people hear designer next to that, and then it's a mad dash for whatever you can get. Sure. So I'm not. I was so happy not to have to go there anymore.
Understandable. So with working on this project, were there any challenges that you had to work on for the actual room? Because it's such a large size. We were kind of talking about it a little bit off air, that it's a complete loft. So I'm thinking like a lot of people at home now where they have to have multifunctioning rooms, much like a hotel room in that sense.
Right.
What were some of the challenges you had to work with, or what were some advice you would give to someone who needs to make their home kind of multifunctional and much like a loft in that sense?
I mean, I always say keep things simple. A lot of times simplicity is the way to go. It's not crowded. You don't feel like you're suffocating in a space. I mean, finding tradespeople are really hard right now because everybody's busy. But I mean, fortunately for me, you know, here in our area, I mean, I have relationships with my contractors that I work with, so I can kind of push them to get what I want to accomplish. We just finished a project where I call it my miracle project because we were able to do everything in 3 weeks to get someone to move in over the last weekend. So
don't let that out. A lot of designers might be mad at you. You're like doing HGTV type turnaround.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, I have a really good contractor or contractors, and they kind of know each other and they kind of cover each other and take care of each other. So relationships matter when you're in this environment right now, where you can pull a rabbit out of a hat and make it happen. And I always tell, you know, for me with my clients, I'm a make it happen person. No is never an option. So if I tell you we're going to get something done and they can deliver it, they will deliver it. We are standing behind delivering what we say we're going to do.
Oh, that's great. So for anyone that's interested in working with you, what would be some of the guidelines that you would give as far as what kind of, like, what's the best way to make sure they get what they want out of a project? Like what kind of questions do you ask, or what kind of relationship works best for you? You know, like sometimes people are like, I like to know how you're going to use the space, or this, that, and the other. Or sometimes it's a matter of if our personalities even clash or so on.
Well, I can give you a couple stories too. I know you just asked me what was one of my challenges that I had with my space. So we were ready to leave to drive to the Berkshires Saturday morning. And one of my contractors that is also my friend volunteered to drive the stuff from here to the Berkshires. And he got sick. He was sick that entire week, and I didn't know where he was. And he was sick, and he couldn't drive. And he was our main guy to drive the truck that he has to take the things up there. And he we didn't find out until Friday that he couldn't drive. So we had to figure out a way to get the stuff up there, even if I had to drive it up there. But we found someone that was able to drive the stuff up there and drive it and come right back with a rented truck. And then I drove up with my car. So that was one of my challenges that I forgot all about, because you remember, it's kind of when you do a show house, it's like having a baby. Yeah. There's pain, and then you forget all about it, and then you have more children.
And you get tricked into it. You're like,
yeah,
wait, I forgot about all the swelling and the pains. Yeah,
it is. It
very
is
similar.
so that's that. Some of the things for me with my clients that normally when I have someone that I'm working with for the first time, I share the experience as dating. So my way of looking at it is you're getting to know each other. Everything is wonderful, everything is schmoozy in the beginning. And I always say it's like dating in the beginning, and then it becomes a therapy session, because then I have to extract out of you what your vision is for your space. What are you feeling? How do you want it to look? What colors you're attracted to? What types of furniture do you like? What, taking everything into consideration as far as, give me everything, let me take it in. You have to be really good at listening to your clients and what they want, what they don't like, what colors they are drawn away from, and try to present them with things from that perspective. And I always say sometimes in the dating aspect, it may get a little rocky because not everything is going to be perfect, especially if you're doing something on the remodeling side that you don't know what to expect behind the walls.
Right. Especially, that's one of the good things, I guess, with the Berkshire house. You guys couldn't do any remodeling, so there was no surprises there.
But Amy did. And yes, Amy did she oversaw the entire construction. So she had her days. She did. So that was very stressful for her as far as things were concerned. And she had to do it. She had 23 designers that were coming at her all at the same time for their needs, wants, and desires and wishes in between.
Sounds like a since it's co-ed, I guess like a fraternity sorority house with a Durham mother.
And it was her first.
Oh, wow.
It was her brave first, her and Patty. Brave first.
Well, the Kaleidoscope Project is, the whole concept is a first, and it's something that's so needed. Can you speak a little bit about your experience, since you've worked as a designer for a while and you've got all the awards and done so many great things? Why is the Kaleidoscope Project still something that's needed, though, especially in the interior design world?
It's very interesting for me in the industry, because I think when I first started to do design and people would ask me, what do you do for a living? And I would say an interior designer. They would say to me, I've never met a Black interior designer before. That was a strange comment. I didn't really connect with it until the last few years, that when people said that to me, it was kind of odd. It was like, it was very strange. But I've been doing it a while. I've watched it change and evolve. It's much better now than it was. I've been doing this almost 27 years. So
we started when she was 12.
Yeah. I told somebody yesterday, I have pins that hold everything back here, and I let them down at night when I go to bed.
That's a good one. I'm always like, I ironed them. That's why you don't see any wrinkles.
I put them back here. Everything is all tacked. Yeah. But I really watched it evolve from the furniture markets to the up and coming elements of today with social media, and see what people are doing and what they're not doing and what they should do differently. So I've seen all of that stuff, and sometimes I scratch my head over what I see, because for me, scale is customer service, scale, and having a good experience is really the important aspects, and being able to be talented in creating a space that your clients love. Those are important aspects, important ingredients. I think more than anything else, as a designer, people don't realize the service and the customer service is paramount. in when you're doing what you're doing in your craft. I always tell my team, if you go to a store and you ask and you get customer service, you'll pay top dollar to go back there just to have the experience, because you're treated like you're someone that's special.
Yeah.
And when you're able to deliver that for clients, they appreciate so much more. And it's about, getting paid for your services, but it's also important based on you being able to deliver, because then you won't have a client that's unhappy with, if something goes wrong, they're more open to riding the wave with you because of the service that you bring to them, and they have that confidence within you and what you bring.
No, you bring up some great points. I noticed, because in my previous life, well, before the pandemic, I did a lot of furniture modeling and acting, and I did a lot of different things, but mainly it was furniture and furniture and home improvement stuff that I did a lot of work for. And I never noticed until the pandemic how frequently I was the only Black person or person of color, period, on set. And then being at different events or markets, being the only person of color on my floor, or like at first it was like, I wonder why like everybody always knew me. And I was just like, oh wait, I'm the only Black person. That's why they know me. That's why they always remember me year after year. Because in the parade of blondes and brunettes, like all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, there's somebody different. At first it felt, it was very isolating when I started thinking about that, because I was like, well, I don't want to support any brands or companies or go to panels or anything of that matter where they don't think a diverse voice is needed there. Or represented. So like all these different panels and different markets and different events, I stopped going if there's no one of color, if there's no women, if there's no, like, there has to be something. Like it can't be everybody looks the same, everybody's talking the same, everybody's talking about shiplap or whatever it may be. And I'm like, that's not my interest, and I don't want to hear only the same viewpoints, the same looks, the same, like, we need diversity in an industry that promotes color so much in where you're living. It's so weird that it's like, even myself, I didn't notice, because it was just, I just assumed it was there, and then started realizing, wait, no, it's just me. And then I started looking back at old pictures and stuff. I was like, yeah, there's not even anybody in the back. I'm like zooming in, like,
there's no one. Yeah.
It's just me and whoever I brought with me, if they were a person of color. Because a lot of times I travel with my mom for different things, because we own an art gallery together. But yeah, it's very interesting. I would say it's an expensive career to go into. So maybe it's also the matter of going to market and all this other stuff. They're too busy to be there because they don't have that flexibility maybe with being independently wealthy. I don't know. But at the same time, it's just, I'm glad to know that they're doing something about it. And Dallas Market is making like a big initiative to make sure that this changes. Like Michael Bauer brought me on with the idea that he really wanted to make sure this was a big splash. There was a lot of promotions, and that this is the goal moving forward. It's not just for this, now that the George Floyd thing happened. It's not, it's like, this is from moving on from here on forward. I
recently told a story. I've done a lot on my journey as a designer. I've owned two not furniture store, accessory stores at one point in my life. But when I first started, I went to market, and I want to say I've been going to market probably about 18 years. And when I first started to go to market, I used to go into a showroom, and most showrooms, they have food and drinks and that sort of thing. And I remember being the only person of color there. And, but I also knew other designers of color. We had a little group of us who kind of started all at the same time, and we kind of had a little support element going with each other. And we would go to market, and we'd all see each other at market, but we never really, we got together after, like, we did our showroom thing. But if you went in line to get lunch, you would be the only person of color in line. And I remember this so well. I would get to the counter, and the people behind the counter that were serving were all African American. And I just didn't want them to serve me. It just felt really uncomfortable. I should also share with you, I grew up in the islands. I was born in Trinidad and I grew up in St. Thomas.
Oh, wow.
So for me, I wasn't raised with a color aspect.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I grew up in Europe.
America introduced me to that.
Yeah, same.
And
what age did you move here?
I moved to Maryland when I've been living in Maryland for 33 years. Okay. I graduated from school in Miami, where I went to school for design. That was in 1981. I graduated from design school. And then I lived in New York for 8 years. I lived in California for 1. And then I came back to New York. And when my daughter was born, I left New York and I moved here. And I've been living here ever since. Okay. I worked in corporate America, but I was always pushed towards the creative side. And I had an opportunity to work with a friend who was working on my car, and he wanted to surprise his family who was from Brazil. They went to Brazil for the summer, his wife and his daughters, and he asked me if I can help him decorate their home because he saw what my home looked like. And that's when I really, really got the bug, because I can remember being at Corporate America World and wanting to do his world. Yeah. And so that was where I got laid off. And when I got laid off, I said, this is time to create my own destiny. I was a single mom and I wanted to have the flexibility for my daughter. And after I got my groove going with it, I promised myself I would never, ever work in corporate America again, ever. So I hear the corporate America stories and I just don't know how, the politics, the dynamics of things. I don't ever want to have that. I want to be free. I love that. I just want to be able to, I love what I do. I love it with a passion. I work all the time, and my friends know that about me, that my brain is always working overtime on what I can do. I recently had a birthday, and it was on a Saturday, and my daughter threw me a surprise dinner party, and with some of my friends who were there were Iantha and Shauna, who are on the Kaleidoscope. And they both said to me after it was over, they're like, so are you going back to work now? I was like, no, but they all know that I work all the time. So, I'm always trying. It's my thing, and I could never imagine retiring. I remember I heard an actor saying, why retire when you love what you do? And that's so true. I just teased you when we started about me wearing bifocals, and I said it will be bifocals and then I'll have a magnifying glass if I have to pick in color, but that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life because it fills my soul. It makes me happy. I'm happy picking things and working with people and getting into the minutia of their families and their lifestyle. I have clients who have watched their kids grow from 18 months to 25 is the youngest at this point in time in my life, but I enjoy it. It's very fulfilling. And I can't imagine people who do things every day that they don't have that soul fulfillment with. I just can't imagine.
No. So I want to be mindful of your time, but I have to ask this since you brought this up. Since it is a passion for you and you love it so much, I'm curious what would be your, I guess, like your dream project to do, and then I'll let you go.
My dream project. I want to say,
or is there like a celebrity's home, just so I know who it is that you would want to do, or maybe because now like with Zooms, there's been so many times you've been able to see inside of people's homes.
Yeah.
Has there been anything that you're like, ooh, people need to change this or do that, or anything that sticks out to you? Either way,
I'm famous for taking pictures of things that I see from people who are on TV and wondering what were their thoughts, or maybe I can help you because they have lampshades that have plastic on it. No.
So funny. We were talking about plastic in my last interview. Where we would go, like my grandmother worked in social services, and we would go do home visits and so on. I would go with her during the summers and so on. And people would have these beautiful, great rooms, everything's covered in plastic and you couldn't sit on anything. And I was like, well, what's the point of having this beautiful room that nobody can use?
Yeah.
So lampshades with plastic. That's one of yours. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't really, I've worked for people that I least expected that I would ever have worked with in my life. And it's kind of putting out into the universe what you love doing and just continue to do it. My work scale is a little different than some of the other designers because I do residential, I do multifamily, and I bid on large commercial projects. So here in our area, a few years ago, I was able to bid on the MGM hotel locally here, and I got all the window coverings on that hotel. So 400 and something rooms, I did all the window coverings. I've worked with athletes. I've worked with some celebrities in our area. I've done residential. I have a project right now for a woman that she lost her husband. She really doesn't have the budget. And I told her that I will work with her to help her to get to a place where the home doesn't remind her of their times together there. Mm-hmm. So I also have to be careful sometimes on the projects that I take on because I get so involved in them that it can create a problem for me with other clients not being able to have my time spent well as far as things are concerned. So I'm always open. I think, I know my family has property in one of the islands from when my dad, because I was born in Trinidad, but my family has property in Grenada. And I would love to explore. And I said that to myself last night. I said, I really have to look into this because my dad left his part of the property for me to take care of. And I haven't done anything with it. So
I was like, I just got invited to go to Grenada to go hang.
I know. The problem when you go to islands and you don't have the island tongue going, you don't have the accent. Yeah, they look at you like you're a little different. So I
can slip in and out of a German accent since I grew up over.
Well, you have to have an island accent.
I can fake it. I'm an actress. I can learn it by the time you need to go. Actually, I'm pretty bad at Jamaican, so I don't know. It sounds Irish when I try it, so. I'll work really hard.
Yeah. One of the things that I really want to, I'm really branching out into doing multifamily. And I did a small multifamily project last year, and I really want to do one of those big luxurious buildings that have everything and anything as far as things are concerned. So that's probably something that I keep myself thriving for. I don't know if I loved having a retail store, because I felt like I was in Toys R Us with all the goodies, and I didn't want to sell anything because they were so beautiful. And one of my friends used to tell me, the name of this game is to sell the items, not keep them.
Yeah. To quote Friday, what is it? You don't take from your own supply or something. I can't remember, but my husband jokes with me about that all the time when he's like, dude, because I was a spa director, and so I was always bringing home products from work. He's like, you spend more than you make sometimes, which was not, well, maybe because Natura Bissé was really expensive. But yeah, I can relate. I understand because that's the hard part now for me, like not working in the spa industry anymore. It's like I can't pay full price for it anymore. So it's like, I'm so used to getting the discounts and so on. So I get it. I almost want to open up a spa just so I can get all the services, because I loved all of that and just helping people find their confidence again, whether it was like with acne or aging or anything. There's so many different reasons people go to estheticians or spas.
Yeah. I can understand. I think having a store for me was a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
It is. Inventory alone.
Trying to balance out the design business and having a store was nice. You had potential clients walking through your door any and every time of the possibility, but there was a lot of the behind the scenes. I loved going to market. Even now when I go to market, it makes me want to wish that I can do that all over again, but it's a lot of work. It is.
Yeah. Well, I have to say thank you so much for being my guest today. It was so nice getting to know you and your work. And I look forward to meeting you down at Dallas Market. We're going to have all these different panels with the Kaleidoscope. So we'll definitely have diversity at Dallas market for sure.
I've never been to the Dallas market, so
Me
I'm
neither.
I'm really looking forward to it. I have said that I was going to go many times, and
Yeah.
it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
I felt
Nice to go
going.
as a VIP status.
That's good. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I did a project in Dallas a couple years ago for one of my clients who I've worked with their kids since the one was 18 months old.
Oh wow.
And so I've been there. I like the atmosphere down there.
Yeah.
It was really good food. I'm on a food junkie mode now where
Aren't we all after the pandemic?
love food.
I've been to Houston, but not Dallas. So I'm just excited to see Dallas and to go to the Dallas market as well and meet everyone that I've been interviewing because I feel so connected to everyone because I've been like stalking the Kaleidoscope's Instagram pages and social media stuff just to keep up to date with what everyone's doing and also to kind of figure out whose rooms belong to who. And so I can have it for editing.
That test?
Well, it's funny because at first I was just looking at the Instagram and not paying attention to the names because I didn't want to because I'm dyslexic, so I didn't want to get too confused on who was who and who was what. And then when people started talking, I'm like, oh, I know which room it is, So it's fun doing it on that side. But with you, I kind of cheated because I had my notes, but I also looked right before you came on as well. So it was like, I already know. But at the same time, it's fun to put the pictures together when we're talking about it and seeing the creative process sometimes behind it. You're like, oh, I see what they mean now after hearing the story too. So
yeah,
everyone that's
a lot.
watching this will have it all.
It was a lot of fun. It was a good project. You met a lot of new designers. You became friendly with new designers that you kind of saw their stuff but didn't know. And that's always the thing too with a show house. You get to meet the new designers and build relationships with them, and you support each other, and those are good things. I think for me, if we didn't have COVID, it would have been a little different because I wasn't vaccinated at the time. And because of that, I kind of kept my distance. But I'll get to spend time with them and see them in Dallas and help each other out, which is, it's part of the run, and it's good. I mean, I always say the other thing, designers are never competitors. People that would hire me for my footprint may look at you do the same transition. I have a designer friend that she's no longer with us, and she used to tell me she was more traditional, and she would tell me, oh, I can do contemporary. And then her contemporary was a lot different than mine. Yeah. Hers was transitional. It was not really contemporary. But I mean, we supported each other, and you bounce things off on each other because clients hire you based on your footprint and your temperament and your service and so many other things than it just being a competition.
Right. So true. And I love that about all the designers I've met so far. It's like, I mean, I hate saying sorority because it's co-ed, but it is like it is. I was doing only entertainment interviews until I went to High Point Market, and I did a few designer interviews intermittently through my entertainment one because they were host on HGTV or they had TV shows, whatever. But it was just the energy and the being around that kind of, like, it's so different than entertainment, because in entertainment there are like select groups that it is like a family, it's like a family reunion, but sometimes it can be very competitive. Or even now I'm at that age where I'm just like, I won't do certain things anymore. Like, I'm not interested in playing certain parts or doing certain things. And I don't want to be on set where I'm going to be a single mom on set. Like, I'm tired of perpetrating those images, like, no, you can have the budget to give me a husband too. If my white counterpart models have a full family, I have a kid, but I don't have a husband. Come on.
Yeah.
Work for it. So like, it's just like, and the fact that they're changing and they're actually doing things, because a lot of times in the entertainment industry they're like, oh yeah, we're working on diversity, so they just throw in token parts here and there, and you're still not the focus of the show. You're still like just the extra, or you're just pushing the story along. You're not really an active player. And so I love that the design world seems to be really actively trying to do better, and so I want to be a part of that. So that's why I'm like, I want to do a lot more designers, a lot more, like that. 12 episodes I'm dedicating to the Kaleidoscope Project. So it's definitely something I'm I'm loving
It's
everyone.
really, really good. I mean, to see, there's so many of us that are talented out there, and our work is not just, something that's more ethnic per se. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's having that diversity. And I've been told just standing at a set when back in my day, where someone asked me, "Did you do this?" versus knowing that I was like at a home show and I had done a booth where they gave designers rooms to do, and I was asked, "Is this your room?" Like, there's no connectivity between you and that room. But it's a new world and a new day. So I think let's embrace it. Let's support each other and carry on.
Make a difference. Yeah, let's keep this change going. So thanks again for being my guest. And will you share where everyone can get in contact with you, or where's the best place for them to contact you?
Sure. My website is interiorsbydesignmd.com, and my office phone number is 301-933-7723.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for being my guest, and I'm so excited about hearing more about the Kaleidoscope Project and meeting everyone in person.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in Dallas.
Can't wait.
Alrighty. Thank you.